Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for checking this out. It's my first video I'm uploading. It's a instructional video on how to build a mace, Gada, whichever term you'd like to use. I figured this would be a good place to start, as this implement is foundational to what I do to keep myself right, stay in shape, and get some moving meditation in, if you will. Okay, so the list of things you're going to need is a bucket, a dowel. The one I have here is 1 1/8 inch, a screwdriver, and some screws. The ones I'm using in this video are 2-inch screws, and everything has been purchased from Home Depot. So if you notice, I'm not going all the way through with these screws. I'm pretty much just going in about anywhere between 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. Anything's really good, just to make sure it's somewhat secure in there. These are going to act almost as a rebar for the concrete to stick to once you have it in the bucket ready to go. Just a small cautionary tale. Try not to go in too hard and too fast with these screws, because sometimes it can split the wood. We really don't want that to happen, especially, it could be okay because it's down in the bucket with the concrete, but the less splitting we have, the better. And here we have it, what looks to be like a medieval weapon, but don't get too excited because it gets better from here. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab our bucket and stuff after we set this aside, and we're going to begin mixing concrete and something extra, a little bit special. Okay, so now to be clear here, this is a 2-gallon bucket I'm using, and a 2-gallon bucket is going to give you roughly a 40-pound mace. So be careful about the bucket size you choose. So I put some of the concrete mix in that bowl there, and what I'm doing is I've written a note earlier, and on that note I put some of my intentions and my goals of hopefully what I can learn from this mace, this implement that I'm making. So what I'm going to do is that's going to have some there's going to be ash left behind, and we're going to essentially end up taking that ash and then mixing it in with that concrete, and then those words and those intentions will become part of the tool that I'm using. So you can make these things a little bit special for yourself, maybe whatever you're looking to do, whatever goals you're looking to accomplish. So you just want to let that burn down to ash, and then you're going to take the stick and then you're going to just mix it all in and mix it together. What I've done here is I've put a little bit of mix in the bottom of the bucket. You can see the height through there, and I've added water, made it a little extra soupy, so when I put this in, it'll be a little bit easier to mix up, because as you can imagine, the more you start adding, the tougher it gets to, let's just say it becomes a workout in its own. So what I got here is a jar of nails. It was an old one that was just sitting in the shed. I figured instead of just, letting it sit any longer, I could, maybe hide them in here. It'll add a little bit more weight, probably a little bit more structure for the concrete to stick to instead of just sticking to itself. So in the end, it should help out pretty good. So as the bucket gets a little bit weighty, I went ahead and moved it down to the floor. Just going to keep adding concrete mix and water, and then we're going to stir and use this almost as like an agitator with the little screw heads on there, because that'll go ahead and be a good way to break all the chunks off the sides and get all the dry powder wet, so we don't have any pockets of material that aren't able to react with the water, and then essentially have a dry spot that'll just end up falling out when you take it out of the bucket later. So as the mixing continues, we finally get to a point where it looks like a good consistency, and we take the rest of those nails and went ahead and dumped them on in there, and then gave it a little bit more of a stirring, mixing everything together good, and just trying to maybe disperse these throughout the material a little bit evenly. And right around here is a good height because it's covering all the screws that are coming off the handle where I want to leave this sit. And I've mixed a bowl of concrete mix, and I'm just going to go ahead and keep filling it like that till I get to the top. And I want to make sure that I keep this stick, like I said, like pretty close to center at this point because it's going to slowly get harder and harder. And here we have our final pour. As you can see, I'm using ultra sophisticated tools. This here is a piece of bark from wood that I split. Just going to use that to kind of mash it down a little bit and, you know, kind of tamp it flat. And that's going to be it for this. And, you know, if you're using the quick set, depending on what you got there, roughly, I mean, I don't know, I'd say within 12 hours, maybe a little bit longer, you have a mace that's ready to be swung. So here we have it. About 12 hours later, dried in front of the fireplace all night. You know, this took about a half hour's worth of work, and here we have a tool that we could just keep using and using as long as we take care of it. The handle's made out of pine, so it's not very strong, but it is very light. As you can see here, it's not really flexing much. Probably don't want to leave it outside because it's untreated. I like to have the wood that doesn't have a finish on it. You know, something like a shovel handle has like a polyurethane on it, which gets slick, especially like when your hands get sweaty, or if you do leave it outside. Like I do end up leaving these outside anyway. But the rain, snow, stuff like that really makes it hard to get a good grip on it if it's wet out. Thing was about 40.4 pounds, it says, so we're about right on to where our estimates were for other buckets that I've made before. That's it, man. So like I said, about a half hour worth of work, and honestly, this shouldn't cost you more than $25 to make this. And you know, made it a little extra special with some stuff that we put in there. So we'll treat this good, it'll treat us good. We're going to keep using it, we're going to keep working out. So thanks a lot. Hopefully I got plenty more videos coming for you guys soon. Things like food, maybe some workouts, how to use these things, and maybe some proper technique videos. But until then, you know, keep at me on the Instagram, @Gundalini. You know how to get me.